These are stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding and identifying my emotions and what I've learned and what they're teaching me. I'm super grateful for the questions you ask because they're guiding this fantastic adventure. This week's topic came from Danica, who wanted to know how to be an innovator, which means this week's topic is going to be mistakes, the secret weapons of innovation. In this video, I'll focus on a time when I made a mistake and I thought it was the worst thing ever. In the next video, I'll focus on a time I made a mistake and realized I could innovate. Then I will talk about a time I got excited about making mistakes because I knew I would be able to innovate. In the next video, we'll meditate, and then you'll get to watch the Friday or the Friday Ditty, where I wrap it all up and I get a little poetic and a little nerdy. All the videos will appear in the playlist, Mistakes, the Secret Weapon of Innovation. So if you have a question like Danica did, comment below, DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. The question I'm starting with today was, when was a time you made a mistake? Well, I'm actually remembering a time when I worked, I was at this one job, and I was super keen on ergonomics and making sure, I moved and all of those things like that. So one day, one of the gals in the other room asked me to, in the call center area, asked me to come in and just kind of go over some exercises. And so I did what was asked of me, and I already was, the dynamic of the situation I was working in with that particular lead and then the supervisor, there was a really unhealthy dynamic going on. And when later I received an email, like they'd been collecting all this stuff and saying I did these things that I didn't do, or that I wasn't asked. Or even when I did do it, they said I did, like I would tell people to do things that I didn't tell them to do. It was really, really icky. And so, I did that. I had fun sharing the exercises and things like that. And then what happened was I thought that, I just thought, okay, well, that's over, that's done. And then later I got an email that, went up to like the regional manager, and, it misrepresented what had actually happened. So instead of just responding to the one person, I responded to everyone in this situation. I just replied to all, and I said, well, this is what happened here, and this is what happened here, and this is what happened here. And then, it felt like the sky was falling, because the supervisor, of course, was extremely upset because I called it out, and then everyone was confused, and I was certain that that was a terrible mistake, and I thought, my world was going to just totally collapse. And so I had all these feelings of, oh my gosh, if I would have just done something different, if I would have, woulda, coulda, shoulda, I went down that route instead of going, well, I did that and I don't know what's going to happen. No, I went the other way. I did that and I never should have done that. But the reality of it was I didn't know what was going to happen next. But the next question on my list is, what was the evidence that you made a mistake and you weren't a mistake? So I think for quite some time, I still thought, I was living in a world where I had some self-esteem problems, but in this situation, I knew that it wasn't me that wasn't the mistake, that I made, or I thought I made a mistake. And I really want to talk a little bit about that believing or that thought that a mistake was made, because later it turned out better than it could have ever, than I could have dreamt of. So, I had this belief in these moments because of the situation and the dynamic that everything was going to hell. And it wasn't, that's just what it felt like in the moment. So I think that sometimes we even have the evidence that the mistake was made. And I think there's even a book, and I don't remember if I don't think I've read it, but it's like Mistakes Were Made, but Not by Me. I may have read it because it sounds like a really cool title, and that's just my personality. But sometimes those mistakes, or something we view as a mistake, might turn out to be the best thing ever. And, you know, I learned to stand up for myself in that situation. I learned it was safe to say, no, that's not what happened. Well, it didn't feel safe in that environment. But it was clear that there was they had a good HR department that really tried to get to the bottom of everything. What skill do you think was the most important in getting through dealing with that mistake? I think the most important skill was having fun, even though there was this whole other dynamic going on, that this whole other investigation of things, and being okay with what I did, you know. So I think that the skill was really just learning to stay in my lane. And yeah, I would love to hear from you. How might your mistakes lead to innovation? These videos will be located in the playlist, Mistakes, the Secret Weapons of Innovation. I'm Angela, and this is me, making sense of myself.